Okay, today it's time for the fun stuff. Today we are going to divide some decimals. We are going to do some division. Now, similar to multiplication, we're not going to dive right into the standard algorithm. We are going to begin by looking at some other ways of dividing. Although I say other ways, and really I'm hoping this will look like some of the simple mental math and simple division facts that you've been practicing for years, but we'll find out. All right, this is lucky lesson number 13, so module 1, number 13. And again, today we are going to divide decimals. More specifically, divide decimals by single-digit numbers. Single-digit numbers. Okay. As I keep repeating, this is lesson 13. So we need a 10 plus 3 more. 1, 2, 3. So there's our Roman numeral 13. Okay, let's zoom in a little bit and begin with some vocabulary. Trying to get it to focus there. There we are. Okay, starting with some vocabulary in lesson 13. Vocabulary. We are mostly going to be talking about the parts of a division problem. You will hopefully hear me use these in class, and I'll use them during the video. So let's make sure we've got them down. Let's start with the dividend. Dividend. A dividend is a number that is being broken. Okay. Looks like I zoomed in a little too far there. A number that is being broken. A number that is being broken into equal parts. Broken into equal parts. And let me adjust that by saying equal parts / groups. Sometimes we're breaking into groups, sometimes we're breaking into individual pieces. It depends on the problem. But the dividend is whatever you're starting with. The dividend is what is being broken up. The next part is the divisor. So if our dividend is something that's being broken into equal parts, the divisor is how many equal parts. How many equal parts or groups? Okay. How many equal parts or groups a number is being broken into. And then finally, number 3, we've got our dividend. This is what we start with. Our divisor tells us how many pieces we're breaking the dividend into. And then the answer to that whole thing is the quotient. Again, the answer to a division problem. The answer to a division problem is your quotient. Okay. Hopefully not terribly new. Now, as we dive into our procedure for today, I'm going to remind you that this is just one possible way of doing this. A lot of you are going to look at this and say, well, I want to just divide. I want to do it the way that I'm used to doing, and I completely understand that. We will be doing that also. But I want to begin by looking at this particular method, which specifically is using units and place value. Okay, so what does that mean? All right. Well, let's say that I give you something that looks like this. Now you notice I'm going to skip a line because I still have to give you step 1, right? But I think it'll make more sense if I give you the problem first. So I'm going to skip the line and show you the problem. The problem we're going to look at today is 4 2/10 divided by 7. This first number is our dividend. This is what we are going to be breaking into pieces. 4 2/10. This whole thing is our dividend. This is our divisor. This is our divisor. Now, 4 2/10 broken into 7 pieces, divided by 7. What I want to do is convert the dividend, and remember I said that was this one, the first number, convert the dividend to the smallest place, to the smallest place value. Okay, so what does that mean? Convert the dividend to the smallest place value. What does that mean? Well, I want you to think. And more than that, I want you to listen. When I read this dividend, when I read this number, what do you hear at the end? 4 2/10. What do you hear? What do you hear when reading the decimal? What do you hear when reading the decimal? What do you hear at the end? Okay. 4 2/10. I keep repeating myself. I keep saying 4 2/10 because I want you to think about tenths. That's the smallest place value. It's the one farthest to the right. So basically what I'm doing is I'm saying, okay, 4 2/10 is the same as saying 42/10. Essentially, I read that last place value, 4 2/10. I write that down, and then I just copy the number without the decimal. Now, we've talked in class about how 42/10, well, 4 40/10, that's 4 groups of 10, and every 10/10 make a whole. Ding, ding, ding. 2/10 left over. But again, just think about what do you hear, and then write, without the decimal point, write the number down below and label it as such. We're changing it 2/10. We're changing it to this particular unit. And the reason we do that will hopefully become apparent shortly. Now, the next step, step 2, this is the reason why we're converting to units. Okay. We are going to break this into groups. Break into groups. And some of you have probably already done this. We're going to take the 42/10, which again looks a little different, but I mentioned before, this is representing your dividend. This is what we're starting with. This is the number that's being broken. And we are splitting it into 7 groups. That makes 7 your divisor. Okay? And actually, sorry folks, I know you love when I do this. I want to write this a little bit differently. 42/10 broken into. I keep reading it that way. I want it actually on your paper that way too. So 42/10 broken into 7 equal groups. And this is what I was trying to do a moment ago. Point out that the 7 is your divisor. Okay. I think I did what many of you may have done. You realize where this is going, so you just want to start dividing 42 divided by 7. That's kind of what I wanted to do. But at least for your notes, I want it spelled out like this. Please copy it like this so that you have it. 42/10 is being broken into 7 equal groups. We're splitting it into equal parts. This is extremely important when we start doing word problems because the word problems will be phrased that way. Something is being broken up, something is being split, something is being separated into groups. So I want you to be used to that. I want you to have heard that. Okay, final step. Again, this is what I almost ended up doing a minute ago, and what I have a feeling many of you have been trying to do. Get to the point, Mr. Landry. Here's the point. Here's the point. Okay. We take our 42 tenths and I write it with the units because 42 tenths, that's the same as having 42 marbles, 42 tacos, 42 highlighters, 42 whatever. If I break it into 7 groups, then I'm left with 42 divided by 7. Hopefully most of you know that's 6. Label the units. 6 tenths. 6 tenths. The reason we do that is because now we can go back to the original problem. 4 and 2 tenths divided by 7 is equal to 6 tenths. So how do I write 6 tenths as a decimal? Well, let's start with the decimal point. I know that directly to the right, that's the tenths place, so that's where I'm going to write the 6. There's nothing else really. I love the 0 over here just to make sure it's clear, but that's it. That's your answer, 6 tenths. By rewriting it as units, 42 tenths, and then dividing, we can use simple, basic multiplication and division facts to get our answer very quickly. Let's do some examples together. Okay. We're almost finished for this lesson. Let's just do 1 or 2 quick examples. Let's say I give you a longer number. 2 and 64 thousandths divided by 2. Okay. This may look rough, but really, it's the exact same thing as up above. You need to ask, what do I hear when I'm reading this number? 2 and 64 thousandths. Okay. So copy all the digits down and then write that last word, that last place value. Thousandths. 2,064 thousandths. Now again, those 2,000 thousandths are going to make 2 wholes. That's why I'm getting that. Just write it like that. Divide by 2. Now for this one, it might take a little more long division, but I think a lot of you can look at this and say, well, I can divide that by 2, that by 2, that by 2, that by 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. 0 divided by 2 is none. Nothing, 0. 6 divided by 2 is 3. 4 divided by 2 is 2. I'm just splitting it in half. So my answer is 1,032 thousandths. And we just rewrite it. The original problem, 2 and 64 thousandths divided by 2 is equal to, all right, how do I write that as a decimal? I'll put the decimal here. I want to give myself space on the left and the right because I'm not sure how far it's going in either direction yet. I do know that it is 1,032 thousandths, so I'm going out at least tenths, hundredths, thousandths. Don't be afraid to draw little lines if you need to. It's going out 3 spaces to the thousandths. I'm going to start writing the number in that last space, and I'm just going to work my way to the left. 2, 3, 0. The 1 will have to go over here. So that's my answer. 1 and 32 thousandths. There we go. Okay, video's running long, so I'm going to leave the last one for you to take a look at. 4 and 26 hundredths divided by 6. Remember, think about what you hear when you are reading this. 4 and 26 hundredths. Use that to rewrite the number as a unit number. The decimal point will temporarily disappear. Rewrite this with the units, 4 and 26 hundredths. Then you're going to divide by 6. This time you probably will need to do some long division. Feel free to turn your paper over, do that on the back. Write your answer down, and we will go over it when I see you next time in class. Good work today, folks. Thank you. I will see you soon.